Hi everyone, on the higher time frame, the bullish scenario is that this is an ABC that is still not finished, as the impulse is currently in a wave 4 in this scenario before then getting a green wave 5 to the upside. Now, a wave 4 can be very complex. The most common scenario is having an expanded flat, but as you will see on the medium time frame counts, there's multiple possibilities to count this area. By all means, eventually we should get a move to the upside for a wave 5, and the invalidation is basically taking the lows over here, as in a wave 4 you don't want to see wave 4 going below the 0.5 Fibonacci, pulled from the low of 2 to the high of 3. The bearish scenario on the higher time frame is that wave 5 and therefore C and the bigger B is already in, and then we're going to see much lower prices, even taking the lows over here at about 15.4k. Over here, wave 5 ended with an ending diagonal, which you will see in more detail in a medium time frame count. Over here, the medium time frame first bullish count is the following, where, as you can see, there is a WXY on the chart right now, and this WXY over here, WXY, is basically a green A. These three waves then lead to having a three-wave structure in the B before eventually a 5-wave move down in C, to then finish wave 4 and move up for wave 5. The second bullish count that I have over here is that this is a WXY XZ, and this X is absolutely valid. It hit the 0.5 Fibonacci, which is the minimum target for wave X, and we could already be on our way to the downside for wave Z, which can either be a three-wave structure or it can be a triangle, and we'll see what happens with price action. But then the low of 4 could be here already before eventually moving up. The invalidation of this scenario is taking a low at 21.4k, and the green fips that you see over here are again taken from the low of the green wave 2 to the high of wave 3, and theoretically wave 4 has to reach at least a Fibonacci level of 0.236, which it has done. So that being said, this is currently a very legit scenario. The first bearish scenario on the medium time frame is that this is a 1-2, 1-2, and then eventually we would get an explosive 3 to the downside. Now this is a very, very bearish count, because if this count would come to fruition, then eventually we will even be taking the lows of 15.4k. Because we already ended the B and ended the C. Now in this scenario, wave 2 over here, the blue wave 2, is not allowed to go above the origin of this wave 1, which happens to be here at the green wave 2. So the invalidation is at 24.6k. The second medium time frame bearish scenario is that this currently is a WXY, and this WXY is a bigger W, so that's a green W. Then we can follow that up by a 3-wave in a green X. So then we have a WX, and eventually we have a Y to the downside to end wave 4, and then eventually go up again for wave 5. The invalidation is taking the highs that we made a couple of days ago. And currently this wave B can be either a quite shallow structure before moving up, or, and that's actually I guess more preferred in my case, we at least take the highs that we made with Y and some sort of an expanded flat in X. We'll see what price gives us there. The last medium time frame more bearish scenario is that this WXY is the first green W, followed up by another WXY in the X, which again is absolutely valid because we hit the 0.5 Fibonacci that is taken from the high of the green W to the low of the green W, and we are now on our way down for wave Y. A couple of targets that are good to know is the 0.618, the 1-to-1, and the 1.236, the most common one being these two over here. However, the 0.618 for wave Y is a very valid target. The green lines that you see are once again the Fibonacci levels from the low of 2 to the high of 3, and also you see a 0.382 fib time. That is the fib time taken from the beginning of 3 to the end of W, and then you double click over here. So basically it means that wave X, this area over here at the moment, is 38% the length in time compared to this wave over here. It is valid, however, it would be nicer if wave X gets closer to the 1-to-1 fib time, but hey, it is sometimes the way it is, and this is absolutely valid. Now on the lower time frame, we have the following scenario. So what was actually very, very nice, that in my previous video, which we recorded when price was over here, I said, guys, I have no bullish scenarios. Everything I have at the moment is bearish. And we dumped quite soon after, which is always nice to see after you make a video, right? What I do think is important to note is this text box over here. This low was made during the weekend, and whenever there's lows or highs made during a weekend, they tend to get taken by the market makers, basically the bigger institutions. They are not very often that generous that retail traders in the weekend, when the markets are closed, can get in their longs and eventually have a lot of profit. So I'm basically looking for this low to be taken eventually, whenever that happens, but we're already a little bit on the way to the downside. Now locally, one could say this is a WX and then another 3 wave in the Y. It hit the 1-to-1 of wave W, wave Y. So the 1-to-1 has been hit basically to the dollar, as well as this area is a very popular area, target area for a wave Y, which got very, very well respected, as you can see over here. Now currently we are moving down in a 3-wave structure and looking for me again to the downside. We already hit this daily naked point of control. I just have it on my chart to show you how well respected the daily naked point of control and the weekly naked point of control were yesterday, because we hit it to the dollar at the lows, moved to the upside, hit the weekly naked point of control and moved to the downside. Now, if you want to know how to trade and find naked point of controls, make sure to click on the card at the right top of the screen, because I made an educational video about these naked point of controls. Now I'm looking for downside. This seems to be a 3-wave to the downside. Now there can be a 3-wave count in the lower time frame here on the 5. If we go to the 5 time frame, this 5 minute, this can be a 1, 2, 3 followed by a 1, 2, 3 and then eventually a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this could already be counted as a 3-wave, but that is really, really low time frame counting, which is not my favorite. So in this scenario, we're looking for a 3-wave structure here. This could already be finished and we could be looking for more downside once again, or the alternative scenario in this case is that this is a 3-wave structure, either a W or an A. Eventually we have another 3-wave structure, maybe taking the highs over here before then moving down. And a very exceptional and definitely not my favorite scenario would be that this is an ABC, some sort of like a 3-wave, then another 3-wave, taking the highs of Y and then move down. I don't see it happening at the moment, but you got to think of alternative scenarios with Elliott waves, and that is still a scenario that I have in mind. It becomes less likely once we take the lows over here. The invalidation of this scenario is basically taking the highs of Y, because that's the end of Y. So even with the expanded flat idea over here, I'm not sure if I like it too much, but hey, we got to have different scenarios. So that's how it goes. The final scenario I want to show you is this bearish scenario, where currently WXY, so that's exactly the same as the previous scenario, but then this Y is a green A. And if I zoom out a little bit, it becomes clear what I mean with this scenario, that in this case we have a green A, so we have 3 waves in A. Then we get 3 waves in B, where we then take the lows of the weekend as well. And then we move up for C. So we get an expanded flat over here, an A, B, and then eventually we move up for wave C. And the invalidation over here, the only reason I have the invalidation here is because, you know, we need to move down for B. So if the invalidation gets hit before taking the lows, that's when it's kind of validated. But in this case, we have an expanded flat and I have a target box then over here, which is a typical target area for wave C. And what I also like is that it has confluence with one of my target boxes that I have there as well. So this is another scenario, but then on the lower time frame. But yeah, all in all, I do expect more downside, even if we would move up, take these highs, or even in a rare case scenario, this is somehow some kind of expanded flat. I still eventually, of course, then have some more downside, because then this is an A, B followed by a C, so it's down, everything is down. So that being said, it's quite difficult to find bullish scenarios, but this is the video, guys. Thanks for watching this video. At 1 p.m. later today, there's another Bitcoin update. Hope to see you then. Have a good day. Bye bye.